watching News at Prime. Let's continue with this conversation now. The Cooperative Governance Minister, Velenkosini Hlabisa, says Mpumalanga, the government there does not have the financial muscle to address the damage caused by the persistent rainfall. The heavy downpours has left a trail of destruction on roads, water and school infrastructure. This is now estimated to cost over 2 billion rand to try and repair or rebuild. The minister joining us for more on this conversation. Minister, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. We are going to talk about the classification in a moment of that national disaster. Can I start with the death toll, Minister? And I'm starting with it deliberately because I think these are figures that government has been slow to communicate. I was listening to the Premier of Mpumalanga alongside yourself yesterday talking about 20 people who've lost lives. In Limpopo, there are bodies being searched for as we speak. What is the national death toll brought on by this heavy downpours?
Good evening, Toli, and the people of South Africa viewing in Newzroom Afrika. Toli, as you would rightly know, even over the festive season, there has been rains that has been going on, not on a massive scale as what we saw during the past week. The province of Mpumalanga, since November last year up to January 15, they have recorded 20 fatalities. Similar, Limpopo, over a period of December and January, they have recorded 11 deceased persons. Western Cape has not recorded any death in terms of the report we received yesterday. KwaZulu-Natal is 20 fatalities from October last year up to January this year. This is a very touching situation. Only our people are being confronted by the floods, and in most cases is drowning. People taking it very easily. That I know this river, I used to cross to it, I will cross to it. Unfortunately, not gauging the speed of the water, as we see that many of people are being washed away simply because of a high speed of the rivers.
Minister, this is shocking now that you have really segmented it the way that you have, the different provinces and people who've lost lives. Let's talk then about the classification of a national disaster here. And you are going to tell me if I'm wrong in my understanding of this. Basically, this is a call on organs of state to prepare and submit reports. And these reports will be submitted to the National Disaster Management Center. Thereafter, monies are then going to possibly be released. Am I correct in how I am unwrapping it before you?
Yes, you are correct, Toli, but immediately the classification says all three spheres of government, the local government, the provincial government, and the national departments must start look at their budgets, where to prioritize. As the classification has been communicated today, all departments, as I communicated yesterday evening in our meeting, we are reconvening also tomorrow evening. The departments have a responsibility now to start considering their budgets, that where they can readjust so that once the water subside, they can start intervening. At the same time, we are still going to be knocking at the door of the National Treasury, because the reprioritization by the three spheres of government cannot cope with the massive scale of this destruction, but they will take a lot of portion and thereafter look at what the government from the national fiscus can afford in order to bring relief and build better our communities.
Is that not going to invite criticism, though, Minister? And I asked you that question very deliberately because that was the experience in Umtata on the back of that severe flooding there. And government being slow, or at least being accused of being slow to releasing funds, because what you are waiting for is a collation of this information, and upon assessment, then government decides what to allocate where. Is that not going to be government inviting criticism that you are slow to act?
The people of South Africa, Toli, will confess that we are responding quickly. It was heavy rain yesterday. I was on the ground with my eyes confirming the damage. The same evening, I convened the committee. Today, classification has been done. We are still in a raining season. Even now, if you can be haphazard, Toli, just release money because it has been said 4 billion rand, and then you release it, you are likely to experience a problem of money not being properly accounted for. Once the provinces have submitted, we need to do verification. Because if you don't do verification, because in most cases, the estimates that are being given are not done by engineers giving details, but they use a desktop assessment. Once that information has been received, then detailed evaluation will be done in order to ensure that you do not allocate more money than what is necessary, because it might end in the wrong hands. Yet, you are likely to experience other challenges going forward, and the money was released very carelessly.
Yeah, you make a good point, Minister, which then brings us to the situation that's unfolding in Limpopo right now. Who is helping the community of Bembe to retrieve the body that is being brought from one end of these disasters closer to home? Because that 20-year-old whose body is being retrieved now, he went missing on Tuesday. There is still a missing 5-year-old. This is now from the Giyani area. Who is helping communities with this kind of work? Is it private companies, your private emergency services people, or is it government?
We have a combination of responses which we highly appreciate, Toli. The government, in terms of SAPS, SANDF, and even the Navy, they are on the ground doing rescue. We have helicopters in the area, but we also have private organizations in terms of humanitarian organizations with a capacity to rescue. All these efforts are working together, even with the ordinary community members, as you could see even in the visuals. The community members are not bystanders. They are coordinating. They are following traces. They are comforting the communities. Even as I was at Mpumalanga, it was encouraging to see what committee members, councillors, executive mayors, MECs, and premiers on the ground during the rainy day, which shows that our people collectively are not saying, government, you must act, but they say, this is a challenge we are facing as a nation, and working together, we can overcome this problem. I do want only to make a clarion call.
Yes.
Even yesterday afternoon, we saw a bakkie being washed away, trying to cross the river, which clearly from anybody could see that this river is full and the water are running at a high speed, but that bakkie tried to cross the river and unfortunately it was washed away. We want to plead with our people, whatever that wants to make you cross the river, please wait until it is clear that you can see the bridge that is still intact, and then you can cross over. If there is nothing of emergency, just don't leave home. Stay at home until these rivers are over. And those on the floodplains, because people have seen what they have never seen for decades living in these areas. When you are requested to leave, the floodplains cooperate. Even yesterday, Toli, there are people who are saying, who is going to look after my house if I leave it and go to the community hall? You will come back the following day to check the status of your house and your property. Take whatever you can. Those material you can't take, leave them. If they are stolen, but if your life is saved, you can still rebuild, other than increase the statistics of people dying as a result of people washed away by these heavy rains.
Minister, you make a very, very important clarion call there, and we absolutely support you in that. Life is way more important, preserving life, than possessions. Of course, people will try and argue against that. Finally then, Minister, the traditional leaders, exactly the clarion call you are issuing, shouldn't those be the people at the forefront of assisting these communities, particularly that they live in far-flung areas? The closest authority, the closest leadership authority is probably their chiefs or Izinduna. Are they doing this work? Because part of what we are hearing is that they stand in the way of services coming to the people because there are those that are fighting for positions. Are traditional leaders assisting or impeding the work so that communities get services they deserve?
To a higher degree, Toli, our traditional leaders are really cooperating because they understand that we are really in a period different from the past. The climate change is really impacting our lives. There are very few isolated cases that are standing on the way of service delivery that are not cooperating, but the majority really, I want to bail them out. The only challenge, Toli, people tell you that we've been in this area for 30 years. Nothing has ever happened. Now, people are starting to realize because they see that the climate change effects are real. Even in a place where for decades they've never experienced flooding of this magnitude, it is happening now. We are going to embark on a massive campaign with all political parties, because these people belong to political parties, and with all our traditional leaders, a drive to our people to relocate from floodplains, even if you have been there for decades. The reality is what we see, and everybody realizes now that we see what we never experienced for quite a long period. And I'm confident people of South Africa are very good when you persuade them with concrete evidence in front of them that we need to act correctly to avoid further loss of life as we go forward in the coming years.
Cooperative Minister, thank you very much for your time. Velenkosini Hlabisa talking to us about the recently promulgated state of disaster that has now been classified And so that is then going to hopefully speed up the process of releasing monies. But you've heard the minister quite clear that they can't just release monies, because those monies at the end have got to be accounted for in how they were used.